they really like to be engaged in the lesson. And one thing I learned about Nicaraguan people, like a lot of the Hispanic cultures, is sometimes they'll be really friendly and they'll be nodding yes when you're teaching them something. And so I learned to be really innovative in the mission. And in my mission, as probably in a lot of other missions, there were certain things that went around the mission field and tactics and way to teach. And sometimes I would come up with something, or my companion used something, we incorporated it. I remember they loved to hear us sing, so we would often start with a hymn, and they kind of just set the spirit. And we'd have pictures, or we'd draw things out, and I'd always ask them, so what does that mean to you? Because a lot of times they'll just be nodding, and then you realize they have no idea what you've been talking about. And so you break it down so that, especially for these villagers or for people that may not be, that can be really smart, but may have as much schooling or education or just think differently than people in the city. You really want to break it down for them and to really help them see the impact and the importance of what you're teaching, and how we do have a message that's unique. Christianity is strong there in Nicaragua. There's a lot of evangelicals, there's a lot of Catholics. Catholicism is huge there, but the Protestant movement is growing a lot as well. So I don't know if this goes with what your question, but like as far as teaching them and helping them to understand just the people themselves, I found it really engaging them and asking them questions. So what does that mean? I would explain dispensation with my hand, and the valleys were apostasy, and my fingers represented dispensation. And I would use little phrases like a dispensation is when a prophet dispenses the truth, or like a cloud dispenses water. And apostasy in Spanish sounds like you're parting away from the truth. And I would ask them, so is it better to live during a dispensation or an apostasy? And if they said apostasy, you knew that maybe you needed to be clear. But most people, if you explained it in ways that they would understand, would be like, well, dispensation. You'd be like, why? Well, because there's a prophet, there's truth, there's this or that. And they begin to understand the principles that you're trying to get through to them. And just really sharing your testimony and applying it to things in their life just really helped. And inviting them to church activities, a big cultural thing in Nicaragua. I don't know if they still have it, but they would have almost everywhere a noche de hermanamiento, a night where people came together to get to know each other, and we'd play games. And there was a weeknight set a night, kind of like a mutual, but for the whole ward, young and old. And you'd play these fun games in a circle where people had to move, just those mixer games. And people had a blast, and you would invite investigators to that. We would teach, I would teach classes. I remember my trainer would teach piano, we'd teach English. My first year I even taught dance when the mission president okayed it, certain dances that you were able to teach, but just bringing them together, just the games, it was really fun. But one thing that you'll have, a big thing, is helping people get married, helping people, live the law of chastity. The word of wisdom was really, really huge, and really focusing on the men. It was a lot easier to help women and children get baptized, but it was a lot more challenging for the men. And I think the missionary culture in a lot of these areas, it'd be like just get the numbers, the baptisms. But we were trying to change that when I was in the mission, and I don't know how it is now. But to really focus on families coming together, it does take a little bit more work to get the fathers converted. But it is hard work to convert someone, and you have to really rely on the Spirit and to be the best that you can be, so that the Spirit can work through you, and not just baptize people that it's easy to baptize, but make sure that they are converted and that they're going to strengthen each other when you leave. And it's not just going to be a whole new group of people in the branch, in a couple of years. Because then it'll be futile. And you want to strengthen Zion. I think that's one of the most exciting things you can do, is to strengthen Zion wherever you are called in Nicaragua, because it's such an amazing place to serve. I know there were things that we would do to help the work. My last couple areas, we organized CCMMs, or MTC for members. and we would teach them how to teach lessons, and we'd have prizes for people that would give them assignments or challenges, and I think sometimes in the developing world we expect them to just know to run the church or embrace our culture when they're not used to certain things and they need more training. And so we would kind of give a training in how do you teach a lesson? Why do we teach lessons? What are some things you can include in a lesson? Why is it important to visit each other? And so we made like a fun little MTC for members, and I thought that really worked in that cultural setting of Nicaragua, because you got them involved. You're always engaging as a teacher. It's super important. Keep them interested, because we have really the most fascinating subject to talk about in the world. But you have to, I remember in the MTC, a speaker told us, we're teaching the plan of happification, so you have to be happified if you're going to teach the plan of happification. So just be happy and realize that they'll respond to that. And a lot of people are walking in darkness, and you will radiate that light if you have it inside, and the Lord will use you. And there are differences. Know your scriptures well, especially when you're talking with Jehovah's Witnesses or evangelicals. I wouldn't bash, keep the spirit, but if you know and you can speak with conviction and you've taken the time to prepare, they'll see it and they'll respond, because that's what's drawing a lot of people away in Nicaragua from from Catholicism to the evangelicals, is that they see that there's more passion, there's more conviction, but you did see things that were kind of different. I remember some areas, the speaking in tongues, people would be in a dark room and they'd be shouting out things, and you can be respectful of that, but kind of explain why that doesn't always show that the truth is there. So you just kind of what their experiences is, and you kind of explain our viewpoint and our standard in a very respectful way, and help them understand what's appropriate and how to feel the spirit and discern it, because there's so many voices going on around in Nicaragua and the religious world in that country right now. So you have to be a clear voice and help them see out of the confusion some clarity. But so that's kind of the religious climate in Nicaragua and the cultural climate, and so hopefully that helps.